Climate change is a bigger threat than many people realize. One cause of climate change is the depletion of the ozone layer from the greenhouse gases and CO2 emissions mankind produces. The IPCC, or Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, was established by the United Nations Environmental Program in 1988 to specifically address the climate change problem. The Kyoto Protocol was adopted in 1997 in Kyoto, Japan, after the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change in 1992. In 2005, it was entered into force. The protocol legally binded developed countries to emission reduction targets. The main objective was to gain as much participation as possible in order to make a drastic change in the CO2 emission levels. The video ended with the trading of carbon credits. In the protocol, in Article 6, Section 1, says, "For the purpose of meeting its commitments under Article 3, any party included in Annex 1 may transfer to or acquire from any other such party emissions reductions units resulting from projects aimed at reducing anthropogenic emissions by sources or enhancing anthropogenic removals by sinks of greenhouse gases in any sector of the economy." To sum that up, it's pretty much countries pay to pollute. So if any party has approved projects aimed at reducing anthropogenic emissions, they obtain carbon credits that can be traded later. So, as seen, China and the US are the biggest polluters of CO2 emissions. And China ratified the treaty, but the US chose not to because they thought that it was unfair that the developing nations didn't have to cut back on their carbon dioxide emissions. The US is producing more tons of CO2 emissions than Europe and Eurasia, and having the developed countries cut down would be less productive, show less of a change, and just overall wouldn't make sense. But it would if the US were to cut emissions because they're the ones, or we're the ones that are responsible or partially responsible for this mess. So overall, the Kyoto Protocol was a good idea, but it wasn't as successful as it would have been if the US played a part in it. So to be successful, it would have been necessary for all of the developed countries to participate.